Welcome, friends. I am here today, very excited, with kind of a new friend of mine, Michelle Kenney. And I kind of call you the connecting parenting expert. And I say you're a new friend because I heard you on a podcast a couple weeks ago. And I mean, my listeners know I'm a grandma. I've got adult kids, but I do have one in high school still, too. So I actually have used some of your advice on connecting, and it has been such an eye opener that I just wanted to have you here because
Oh,
it's helped my life. So I
thank
know
you.
it's going to help my listeners' lives.
Yeah.
So if we want to just kind of start and maybe you can, let us know what led you down this path. We always love those authentic stories about why people are here. And then maybe just an overall of some of your parenting tips because they're so helpful. And then,
Okay.
of course, because this is about doing divorce different, how you can help walk your kids through the divorce process. That's kind of where I want to go with this. And
Perfect.
all right.
Well, you keep me in check if I veer down a road of ridiculous stories that make no sense. But thank you, Lisa, for so much for having me. And I'm so excited to talk about divorce. I'm a divorced mom too. I
Mhm.
have two daughters who are 12 and 15. And I love talking about divorce because I think it's a space that where we need a lot of compassion for ourselves and for our kids. So thank you for having me on. Um, I'm a former teacher and high school counselor, and I always loved kids. And I thought I would be an incredible mom. And I wanted nothing more than to have family and be a stay at home mom and do the whole thing. And I did it. And about 3 years into it, for maybe 3.5 years into it, I started to really struggle. And I had a lot of power struggles with my oldest, very sweet, very strong willed, and very sensitive oldest daughter. And it got to the point where I was going to bed frustrated and crying every night because I was deeply into shaming and punishments and rewards and yelling.
Mhm.
And at some point, I thought, I need help because whatever I was doing in the classroom is not working at home. And I found connective parenting, and the moment I started using it, I couldn't believe that you could actually parent without using punishments and without using shame and without using all the things that I was brought up, in a family where my parents used. And she immediately started to turn around and she immediately started to really respond to it. And so I loved it so much that I became a certified parenting instructor through Hand in Hand Parenting. And Patty Whitfler was my mentor, and she's the founder, and it's a lovely organization, and it's all about connecting with your kids.
And you have so many resources. We're going to put your website in the show notes, and you're on Instagram too. But I know you have resources, you have blogs, you have courses. And, uh, you know, I don't know how old your daughter was when you started doing this connective parenting, but I feel like I need to apologize to my adult children.
Yeah.
And now I can teach them how, I've got a grandson. I can teach them, they can follow you, but there's still hope that, I'm able
Yes.
to connect. And, I can't tell you how much I love it and I didn't think I could stay calm. And one thing that I loved is that I heard you're a recovering yeller.
Yeah.
And it brought me back years to like, oh, remember the days when you had all these little kids and then you just start screaming at them.
Yep.
And then, ding dong, the doorbell would ring and you'd totally stop. You'd go to the door and your throat would be burning because you had just yelled and that was the shame of it.
Uh-huh.
So, another thing that I love about you is you're gentle because we do need to be forgiving with ourselves
Yeah.
too. That's part of it.
It
Um,
is. Because if you're not, then you have a hard time finding that gentleness for your kids when they mess up. And so finding it for yourself lays the groundwork for you finding it for everyone, right? But most
right.
especially your kids. But I
Yeah.
think we're so hard on ourselves, especially as women. We're really hard on ourselves. We think we should know what we're doing. We think that mothering should come organically and we should know everything. And we shame
Mhm.
ourselves when we don't. And we don't know everything, and that's okay. That's
Right.
totally okay.
Well, and for the listeners, we're kind of talking about what connective parenting is, but it's kind of what I've learned, and I need you to go more into it, is that when I see my daughter misbehaving or lashing out at me, I kind of join her and I say, I can hear that you're feeling really nervous about going to the dentist, and I can understand that you don't want to go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go either. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
sad?
Well, that's just empathy, but no one probably did it for you.
Yeah.
And so how can we know what empathy feels like, or that it's useful, or that it's, effective, if no one ever did it to us? Nobody was empathic with me ever. And so like you, I came to my kids with empathy and I was like, I think I was faking it mostly. I'd be like, "Yes, I understand. You seem upset." And I'm
Right.
sure they were thinking, who is this weird person? But over time, you start to believe it and feel it and know it. And
And it
what,
feels good to you too.
yeah, doesn't want empathy?
Right.
I do. I need some. Um, okay. So I talked about my journey. Where else am I supposed to go, Lisa?
Well, I want to know a little bit more general parenting tips. I know, like,
Yeah.
on your website you have 5 steps that make it easier to get a kid to cooperate.
Yep.
I mean, maybe if you can just kind of touch on those.
Yeah. Or more importantly, like, I think that there's many different kinds of ways to parent your children, obviously, but mostly we use conventional parenting or we use connected parenting. Those are kind of the big things right now. And what conventional parenting is it says, "Oh, this child's misbehaving. They're doing something I don't like. So what reward or what punishment can I inflict in order to get a different behavior?" And what connective parenting says is, I see a behavior I don't like. What can I do to get connected to this child so that I can get them thinking better? Because what happens to a kid who's not doing well, who's not, behaving, quote unquote, I hate that word, but
Mhm.
who's not behaving well, is that they're not thinking. Their prefrontal cortex is disengaged and they can't think well. And the prefrontal is their reasoning center. And if that reasoning center is offline, then there's no punishment or reward is going to help that reasoning center get back online.
Mhm.
But connection will. And one of the big components of connection, like you said, is empathy.
Yes.
So when we can come with empathy, when we can come with play, when we can come with one-on-one connection with our kid on a daily basis,
Mhm.
and when we can set limits as opposed to infringing punishments, then we have the root of connective parenting, all of those things.
Can you explain how you set your limits?
Yeah. First, before I explain it, to understand limits is to understand that when a kid can't adhere to a limit, like if you say, "I'm so sorry, you can't have another cookie," and they have feelings around that, that child, we have to make note to ourselves that child isn't doing well. That's why they can't accept the idea that they can't accept the idea that they're not going to get another cookie.
Mhm.
So if we adopt that thinking, then when we set the limit, we say, "I'm so sorry you can't have that cookie." We know in our mind and in our heart that child's going to have an upset, and we're expecting that upset to happen, and we're not going to be angry about it. That's the difference in conventional parenting and connective parenting, is that when a child doesn't adhere to a limit, we get angry and we punish and we yell and we are very disturbed by it.
And it's almost like your ego, or like if there's someone watching, or even if there's not, you're thinking, well, and I take it so seriously. I think I've been way too hard on my kids. I take it so seriously that I want to tell them everything.
Yeah.
I want to instruct them.
Yeah.
And, what I've heard you say is that 80% of what they learn from modeling your behavior.
Yeah.
Now, Mama Koski just has to get the patience to wait for, because it could be years down the road that
Yeah.
they're going to model it.
Yeah, it's definitely true at the modeling. And guess what? Life teaches them all these lessons. We all know
Right.
that. Life has
Right.
taught me all the biggest lessons. Not my mom, not my dad. Sure, they told me stuff that I eventually learned through an experience because they
Right,
knew I would. But life really teaches you. If you're mean to somebody, they're not going to be your friend.
right.
If you know, go outside without your jacket, you're going to get wet. Like life will
Yeah.
teach it to you. You don't have to instruct them on every little thing.
Right, right. So if you were in a situation where you were remaining calm and there was a big blow up
Yeah.
and the child was saying mean things to you, how do you handle that?
I've had it happen over and over again. I had it happen yesterday. Esme came home. I hope she's not listening, but Esme came home. She's not. Esme came home from school like on fleek. Like she was just like, it's raining. You didn't park in the right place. I had to walk in the rain. Blah, 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 blah. Then gets in and she was like, I need a Halloween costume. And I was like, ooh, somebody's coming in hot
Yeah.
today. Like, you know, like, uh-oh. And my immediate thought is, okay, this isn't about me.
Right.
Now, granted, it's taken me a long time to get here. I've been doing this for 10 years. This isn't me. This isn't about me. And I'm not for 1 minute going to get pulled into this kerfuffle with her. I'm just going to stay calm. I'm sorry I didn't go to the right place for you. I wasn't sorry I didn't go to the right place for her. But what I was saying is like, I'm sorry you're having a hard time that I didn't
Right.
go to the place you want me to do. I'm
Right.
sorry you're having a hard time.
Right.
I'm sure we can figure out your Halloween costume. I'm sure we can. Blah, blah, blah. On and on and on and on. And I stay quiet and I listen and I don't say a lot. And she keeps going on and I don't say anything. And then I said, I'm sorry you're having a hard day today. Is everything okay? I'm just mad. And I just stay quiet and I listen and I don't react. And you know what? It's so much easier.
It is. I have found that and I've been doing it a week.
Okay. That's
You
good.
know, so, and my kiddo's older, but she's kind of like perplexed.
How old is
And I
she?
16.
And so is mine. Mine's 15 and a half. Well, she'll be
Yeah.
16 in January, but it's the same. They get to these places where everything in their world is bothering them, and
Yep.
they're gonna take it out on us
Mhm.
because 'cause we're safe.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And now I just need to share this with my adult children so that they can learn.
Yes. Send them
Right.
my podcast.
I
Start with
will.
episode 1 is all
Okay.
about connection. The first 10 episodes are all about connection.
And we will also have that in the show
Yeah.
notes because I think that you are going to be a great connector for my parents going through
Yeah.
divorce, which maybe
Yes.
we could talk about that
Yes.
a little bit now
Let's
because
do that.
you've gone through it.
Uh,
And I loved you. I saw somewhere that you said you actually got closer to your kids when you went through your divorce.
I mean, I think what happened for me was I was spending so much energy, emotional energy on my relationship with my ex-husband that I wasn't spending the kind of energy I needed to be spending on my kids because I was preoccupied with the disillusion of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we were high school or college sweethearts and we were together for 20 some odd years. And so it was a big breakup and it was really hard. And I think that once it came through the other side a little bit, I realized, oh, I have all this time to connect with my children, to
Mm-hmm.
be with my kids, to dive into our relationship because I was freed. My mind was freed of all of the preoccupations with my divorce.
Let me ask you a question. Does your ex parent like you do?
Yes, because we did this together before we got divorced.
So there is hope for all
Yes.
these people going through this. If I can share this information with them, this can work. But let me ask you, there are going to be some where one parent isn't going to parent like this.
Married or divorced.
Right. So what's
So
your advice for that?
my 2 things. So one is I also work with parents who are divorced who dive into this together and do coaching together. So you can do that. And if your partner is willing to do it with you, it can be so great. I have 3 2 divorcing couples and 1 divorced couple right now, and they're doing it. They're coming on the same page with their parenting at least. The other thing is that if if psychologists say kids only need one good connected parent, one
Oh,
good role
really?
model.
Okay.
Yeah, one good person who's on they just need to know somebody's on their side.
Okay.
So if they have one person on their side, that's enough. That's enough.
So you're kind of saying that for the parents who are divorcing and say one of the parents doesn't want to have anything to do with this, they're yelling at the kids, they're, using discipline that you don't agree with, but you choose to do it this way. That's huge to your kids.
That's huge. They know someone's in their corner. And if
And you
you're
just
married, yeah, just one. And if you're married, I'd say also, like, go this way and be the model. Let
yep,
them see you do it. Even if you're divorced or divorcing or whatever, be them. If your partner or ex-partner doesn't want to get on board, be the model. And I had a recent couple who said that her ex-husband started calling her and being like, what are you doing over there? Because he's really into you. And I'm feeling left out. And
oh
so then he became my client because, he wanted in on the whole thing too.
yes.
And so you can be the model and you can show them that this works.
So no, there's no hope lost.
Not at all. And you can
Even
start
if
it.
they never do it, but they might. So just kind of taking care of changing how you're doing it.
Yes, that's all you can do.
Right.
A lot of people like to talk about co-parenting. Well, we need to co-parent and get on the same page and the same things that should be happening at my house that happen at their house, but that's not realistic.
Right.
Really isn't. We can't control our ex-partners. We can't and nor should we want to. And
Right. And I
they
think this is just going to I just can't get over how much comfort this is going to give people to know
yeah.
how important their one connection is.
Yes. And it makes a huge difference in the kid's life. And I
Yep.
think that's another reason why divorce is, I'm not going to say it's good, but it's useful in that if you are spending so much time arguing with your partner around parenting,
Yeah.
that divorce can free you from doing that because now you're parenting. Like I always say, I'm like, well, I parent how I want to because nobody's telling me what to do,
Right.
like and so that kind of feels good. And so when you get divorced, you get to do that. And you're also not fighting in front of your kids, and your kids aren't internalizing, oh, my parents are fighting about me
Yep.
because they're fighting about how I should be parented. And so they internalize that it's their fault. And
Right.
why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't
Right.
they?
So tell me, with these parents that you're helping, are there any things that stand out with kids that are going through a divorce that our listeners that we could share that could help them? Any instances that come up a lot and
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that kids don't like to go back and forth. They
yep,
really don't. And it's hard for them. And it's like they're constantly packing or unpacking, going or coming. What things are here, what things are at dad's, what things are at mom's, and it's really hard for them to do that and to really empathize with them. I don't want to go to dad's. I know, honey, I get it that you don't want to go. I know it's so hard to pack up your stuff. Daddy and I are so sorry we put you in this situation. We never wanted to do this. We understand it's really hard. You can still hold the limit and say, but you got to go to dad's on Friday. But you're doing it with empathy. And this is like a prime example of a limit, right?
yep,
It's not like, pack your stuff. You got to hurry up. I told you had to go to dad's on Friday and blah, 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 blah. It's saying, I know it sucks. And daddy and I put you here and we're sorry.
yep,
And it's okay to be upset that you have to go back and forth. And I think the other thing too is saying, like, trying to minimize the back and forth. I know our custody agreement is very willy-nilly. The kids do whatever they want. I know not a lot of people get to do that. We do. And I think, that's helped them feel less stressed to just say, do you want to go to dad's this weekend? Do you not? Or I'll get you on Saturday if you want. Do you want me to take you to that thing? You want daddy to take you to that thing? Like,
right,
what do you guys want? It's not about us. It's about you. Like putting the kids as your focus, as what's important, as opposed to, thinking about ourselves so much.
Yep. And that's what I'm finding is working, is putting those kids first. And that's how people can work through this together. But as I'm talking to you, how long have you been divorced, Michelle?
I've only been divorced for just about a year, but I've been separated for 5.
Okay. So it's kind of new. Um,
Yeah. It
I
took
mean,
us 4 years to get divorced, but it was just
go through it.
we just didn't do it.
So did you sit down together and come up with a parenting plan? Did you have a mediator? I'm just curious because it seems like it went so smoothly.
I called him and said, "I think we should get divorced," and he said, "Okay." I said, "This is what I this is what I want." He said, "Okay." I said, "I'm going to the courthouse and getting the paperwork and filing it, um,
Good for you.
no fault, and not no fault, uncontested, is that what it's called?
Yeah. And you're
Default, default.
default.
So I wrote up the paperwork at the courthouse with the people, with the legal aid, and I sent him the paperwork. My dad actually gave him the paperwork as the you have to have someone deliver
Yeah.
it to him, and that was it.
And you just divided up everything equally and do you have a plan for your kids or do you just kind of
We did the plan has always been evolving, so it was just weekends with him because they wanted to do school with us when they were younger, and that really made sense, and then they decided, "Oh, I wanna be Friday night at mom's house because she's closer to such and such friend, and I'm gonna go to their
right?
friend's house and blah, 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 blah." So now it's, like, all over the place, and we kinda just roll with it, but
Wow,
it's
what a
evolved.
yeah, and that's amazing because that is making them the focus.
Yes.
Because I mean, I think people set up their schedules. They forget that what's best for your kids. And they're
Yes.
just doing, well, I have to do this and this on this, you know what I mean? And it's never really about that.
No, and it doesn't work, and this really works for us. I mean, I do a lot of the, like, pick up and drop off or whatever, and he does a lot of, like, the weekend stuff, like driving and whatnot, but we're in constant communication, and things are constantly changing, and that's just the way it is with them right now because they're teenagers,
Yep.
and it's working.
Well, I am so happy to hear that because doing divorce different. I mean, this
Yeah,
is what people need to hear, and we don't hear it enough. We don't
yeah,
hear about people doing it like you do. And
yeah.
then, for all of this to have led you to help people through these parenting issues. And, like I said, I truly have felt this firsthand. And I have sent your podcast to my husband.
Oh,
And I
good.
haven't been divorced. You're helping me, and I have not been
Oh,
divorced.
you're not divorced.
I'm not. It's like I know everyone's that's so crazy. I have been married almost 30 years.
Oh my goodness,
I
good for you.
I know. And, I think I always felt like, oh, I need to apologize for that. But part
Aw,
of what I do is I want to walk people through it and get them to a good place so that they can have a great relationship in the future and kind of
yeah,
coach them. So being able to get this information from you is so helpful. And I will send people your way.
thank you.
Honestly, because it's key and it's so dear to my heart, this parenting.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that it's not too late for me to hear this.
No, it's not. I mean, my dad does, this parenting methodology with my girls, and he's 74. He's gonna be on the podcast. I keep telling him, like, "We gotta find a time," but
Oh, I
he has
love that.
totally changed his parenting pedagogy. He's, like, totally connective and no more yelling, and he's come full circle, and he has the most incredible relationship with these girls. I think they love him more than me,
Well, that,
and
yeah.
they really do, and he's like they're 16 and, 16 and 13 almost, and he can drive them anywhere, he can take them and pick them up anywhere, they're not embarrassed of him, they're on his TikTok with him,
Oh, I love
and
that.
it's
He does.
because of this. Yeah, he does TikTok. Yeah,
That's
very sweet. So
darling.
it's never too late. I have parents who come to me with 16-year-old, 18-year-old, I have grandparents come to me, I have
Yep.
parents who come to me with grown kids. It's all about connection.
Yeah, I feel like the timing was perfect for me and now to be able to share it with everyone. So can you just let our listeners know how they can connect with you?
Yes. I'm Peace and Parenting, and I'm Peace and Parenting. My biggest presence, I think, is on Instagram. I'm there a lot, but I also have a growing presence on Facebook. And my Peace and Parenting LA.com is my website. You can find a lot of free stuff on my Instagram bio link. If you go to my bio link, I have guides. So, all kinds of guides like sibling rivalry guides, special time guide, all kinds of free guides. My podcast is there, Peace and Parenting Podcast. You can find it anywhere like, iTunes, Amazon,
Yep.
Stitcher,
Spotify.
Spotify, all those places.
Yeah.
Yep. And I have 103 episodes, I think. So a lot of good information. I've got guests on there and other parents, and
Mhm.
it's really good. I think the podcast is probably my most favorite work right now.
Yeah, I'm enjoying listening to it and sending it
Yeah.
along to my husband. So
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank
Thank you
you.
for giving
Thank
us all
you.
of that. And it'll all be in the show notes. And I'm going to stay in touch with you and let you know how
Okay.
this progresses with my 16-year-old.
Yes, please do. I want notes. I want updates. I
All
want to
right.
see how she's coming.
I
And
will for sure. Thank
yeah,
you so much, Michelle, for being here. It's been a pleasure.
thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.